Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to part two of my allergic reaction video. So what I'm gonna go over right now is how, what actually happens, like when the foreign body, the allergen goes into your body the first time, and then the second time, and then even the third or fourth time, and how a mild allergic reaction can turn into a severe allergic reaction depending on how many times you're introduced to the allergen. Hopefully, I could kind of make this make a little bit of sense. If not, leave a comment below. All right. So the first time, let's say that you've always lived indoors. You've never went outside, right? Never, ever, ever. And one day you go outside and you get pollen. You breathe in the pollen. So it goes into your nose. It penetrates your membranes that are inside your nose in the back. And it made it into your bloodstream. Well, you have these things called T cells, right? The T cell will is going to absorb the pollen. So these right here are pollen, 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 pollen. It's going to absorb it. Once it absorbs it, and remember, this is the first time that pollen has ever gone into your system. We're just assuming that, all right? All right, so the T cell is going to absorb the pollen because it's just going to take it in because it's foreign, it doesn't belong, and that's its job. Once it absorbs it, it's going to just get a little imprint from the pollen just to recognize that it's a pollen, and then it's going to send a message to the mast cell, right? But it's going to use these cells called B cells. These are like little messengers. Their job is just to send a message from the T cell to the mast cell, all right? So the B cell is going to pick up the message from the T cell and send it to the mast cell and let the mast cell know, like, hey, we have an invader. So this is what it looks like. This is what it smells like. This is everything you have to know about the pollen invader. That way, next time it comes, you can actually defend us because the mast cell is what's going to defend the body from this stuff. All right, these are all in the white blood cell category. So what happens is, cool. So then the mast cell is going to develop or make these things called antigens. So these right here are called antigens, right? The Y's. We'll say they're called antigens, and they're like little receptors, little sensors. The antigens are gonna stick around outside the surface of the mast cell. That way, next time the pollen comes in, it'll recognize it like right off the bat and just attack it, right? Or do its thing, whatever it has to do to protect your body. So that's the first time. The first time that an allergen is introduced into your body, nothing's gonna happen for the most part. Nothing will happen. It's just your body prepares for it to come back. That way, next time it comes back, it's prepared. It can actually fight it, and it's more efficient. The second time it comes back, you might still not have a severe allergic reaction. You might only have a mild allergic reaction, right? It's a mild the second time. Well, after a third time or a fourth time, the response from your mast cell is going to increase more and more and more. It's going to build up, try to be stronger and stronger because obviously every time pollen is introduced, it's not doing a very good job. So it's going to increase. So let's say it's your fifth time outside. You've been introduced to pollen. Every time you go outside, you have a mild allergic reaction. Nose gets stuffy. It swells up. You just don't feel comfortable. Eyes get watery. Well, let's say this is the fifth time. We'll scratch this out. Fifth time, you've been outside. And what happens is, pollen has gone through this process in the fifth time. Every single time you go outside, it goes through this process. It goes through your nose, membranes, T cell gets it, sends a message to the mast cell. Mast cell then reacts, right? Well, let's say that the pollen actually makes it inside. And what's going to happen is that these antigens are now able to sense when pollen comes in. So every time pollen, and these right here are supposed to be pollen, is introduced into your body, and it actually attaches to these receptors, the antigens, they touch, your mast cell is going to respond by releasing something called histamine, all right? Histamine. So histamine is what causes swelling and dilation, and that's when you get a severe allergic reaction. Usually it's localized, but if it's in your bloodstream and it's the sixth or fifth time that you've been exposed to the allergen, you might get a really bad response, and histamine is just going to be exposed. It's going to be just kind of dispersed throughout the entire body. And then whatever blood cells, I mean not blood cells, but whatever vessels, is a vessel, any blood vessel, is nearby during this release, it's going to dilate, all right? And that's bad because, we'll say this is your bloodstream. If this is your volume right now, and then you expand this even more, it's like a water hose. When you compress the water hose down, the water goes out faster, right? When you release the water hose, the water is going to flow out a lot slower. So the reason that matters is because blood cells carry oxygen to where they have to go. And oxygen needs to get to where it needs to, the tissue of the body, tissue, in a timely fashion. It's used to it. If O2 is not getting to where it needs to go on time, then your body starts to kind of break down. And if it persists, you could die from that. So that's why this is a big deal. Besides that, your vessels will also get permeable. Permeable is a fancy word for leaky. So your vessels are going to be leaky. They're permeable. Put that for permeable. Right? They're going to leak. So now you have fluid, blood, not only being slowed down because of your container, your vessel getting bigger, but now it's leaking out the fluid, and you have a really big issue. On top of that, this histamine may also cause your bronchioles. So bronchioles are the tubes that are inside your lungs to constrict. They're going to constrict. That means they're going to shut down. Now, the bronchioles carry O2. So now you don't have O2 able to go to where it needs to go because of the histamine release. So we have two really big issues here. We have you have your blood that's not going in fast enough to where it needs to go to deliver the O2, and now we also don't have any O2 intake. So we're in a really, really bad situation for our patient. So we need to reverse this. This is why severe allergic reactions are sometimes known as anaphylactic shock, because shock means that hypoperfusion is not occurring. Hypoperfusion is occurring, I'm sorry. So perfusion is not occurring. Perfusion just means that the blood is getting to where it needs to go, and there's that gas exchange of O2 and CO2. That exchange right there. But it's not happening here. So we need to reverse this. And what do we use for that? We use what's called epinephrine. And I'll make another video for epinephrine because I'm already running a little late. I gotta meet a buddy at the gym. So see you guys next time. Bye.